morning and welcome to Daybreak Live Extra on Dominion Television Ibadan. I am Samson Balogun. Nigeria's education sector is once again under pressure this morning as the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, accuses the federal government of pushing public universities towards shutdown. For many Nigerians, it is a familiar warning. But behind the headlines are deeper concerns about funding, policy consistency, staff welfare, and the future of higher education in the country. And at a time when students and parents are hoping for stability in the academic calendar, fears of another disruption are already beginning to grow. This is our Daybreak Gist this morning. We'll also bring you the weather report and Daybreak News, covering the major stories shaping Nigeria and the international scene.
Later, we take a look at the newspaper headlines and the issues dominating public discussion this morning, from politics and governance to education and economic realities. And then our big story turns to the public political atmosphere following the APC primaries with the topic, after the APC primaries, can the party unite ahead of the governorship election? Primary elections often reveal the strength of a political party, but they can also expose internal cracks, competing loyalties and unresolved grievances. So after the contest, the declarations and the controversies, can party unity truly be rebuilt ahead of a major election? And joining us for that discussion is Afolabi Afolami, a public affairs analyst.
And before we wrap up the show this morning, we'll take you through Trend Watch as it takes us on the stories and the reactions Nigerians are talking about across social media and beyond this morning.
Right. In politics, winning a primary is one battle and keeping a party together is often another.
And that is where we bring you Daybreak Live Extra this morning. So stay with us and stay glued to your TV set this morning.
All right.
Good morning to you, Yemi.
Good morning, Samson.
Well, really nice to be back here. And, that takes us to the field of education. And that sector is one area that has received what some people would call some attention recently. And since this current President Bola Ahmed Tinubu assumed office, if there's one thing they have been able to do with stability, is the fact that no university has gone on strike. They have been able to do that, fulfilling some of the promises, like the 2009 agreement. Part of that was actually revisited, and with the promise that in futuristic time, some of these agreements will be revisited and will be worked upon. However, things took a new dimension yesterday, as they are saying the federal government is actually pushing them towards where they would love to go on industrial action to show their grievances towards some of the promises made to them that has not really been fulfilled. And some people will talk about the president's ability to placate aggrieved parties, bring them back to the table, the drawing board, and say, look, well, we do not have everything you are looking for, but we have these few things. You could manage this for now, and then much later we'll talk about other things. That he has been able to do in his political party, and I think that is the same idea he's been able to use in ministries, MDAs, and parastatals to make sure that things are going on smoothly, at least to some standard. However, this might just be a problem waiting to happen, because if talking about education, there has been no blemish on this administration when it comes to going on strikes and industrial actions, but this might just be the beginning. Will the president be able to sort this out just before they go on strike is another big question people are waiting to answer this morning.
Exactly. Just like you mentioned, I think one of the great things that this administration have been able to achieve in the last 3 years is making sure that, there's no strike, across the federal universities. And then they bragged about it several times. So and maybe that's why I think they should really, find a way to speak to these people. I mean, the ASU committee, to make sure that this strike does not happen. Because ASU is saying, all this that you're doing will lead us into another long strike. And then I remember there was a time in this country that students in federal universities would pray and say, we need, just give us 2 weeks strike or just 1 month. We just want to clear our head. We are tired of this school. We are tired of assignments and things like that. But now students are praying that we don't even want 1 week strike. Because why? Most of them, the ones that are even in uni now, are quite lucky. Unlike 5 and 10 years ago, you can not really use 4 years. Your 4 years can never be 4 years. If it's not 5, it's going to be 6. Some persons even spend 7 years in school studying a 4-year course. So basically, I think the federal government, should actually, do more. They've been trying to put, several things in place, but then I think they should do more. And how are they going to do more? They fulfilled part of the 2009 agreement, to which several administrations could not actually fulfill. And I think they just need to complete that. And then ASU is also complaining about the 2025 agreement. So there was an agreement that was reached last year as well. So they are saying the federal government is yet to actually come through for them in that area. And then another thing that ASU is also complaining about is this IPPIS thing. They still want the federal government to work on it, because one of the arguments that the federal government brought to the fore is that some lecturers are actually working in Nigeria, and they are still working for other foreign universities abroad, and so they are collecting dual salaries.
Not even abroad. Some of them are lecturers in a particular university, and they are guest lecturers in other universities in Nigeria.
Yeah.
And they even work contract jobs with private universities. So these are the complaints the federal government are having. And if you are going on IPPIS, it means that it's an integrated payment system where you can only be paid once by the federal government, and the rest maybe to be considered as free service.
Exactly. And then there's also some of them who are still, even students might just not want to come out to talk about it. There are some lecturers who will not be available for, let's say, 6 months, and then they'll come and they'll travel abroad, have their lectures over there, and they'll still come down. And there's still some who are still doing both jobs, like 2 jobs in Nigeria, just like you said. So the federal government tried to work on that to reduce that to the barest minimum. If you want to move to private university, move there. If you want to move to abroad to go and lecture, also move there. I remember in 2020, even in 2021, after the COVID era, a lot of lecturers actually left Nigeria for good and said, oh, we are done here, we have better offers over there, and so they left. And then one more thing that House is also complaining about is the fact that the Minister of Education, Tuji Alausa, said that they want to put an end, they want to scrap certain courses in the universities, especially in humanities and social sciences, because they feel those courses are not really relevant in today's Nigeria. Exactly. And they feel those courses have rendered a lot of youth jobless. Courses like psychology, these are some of the courses that we mentioned, linguistics, and as we say, these courses are relevant to the society. You can't just wake up one morning and say you want to scrap it. I did see that I've listened to some persons who study certain courses, and then a few years later they are regretting, why did I actually study that course? I could have just learned a trade or something, because at the end of the day they are unable to do something with that course. But then, is it just because of the course alone, or because you don't really know what you want to do? Because at the end of the day, you can study a course and you might not really do something in that line, but you can use that knowledge, because no knowledge is wasted in life. Because I think the reason why some persons will opt for certain courses that are not so popular is because the one they want, they could not get it, maybe due to cut-off mark, and then they don't want to sit at home for another 1 year. So they will decide to, let me just take this course. Maybe at the end of the day, I can transfer to another department, but it's not always easy. Out of 100% students who wants to transfer from one department to the other, especially people who want to move from, let's say, maybe mass communication now to some professional courses like maybe law or things like that, or people who want to move from biochemistry to medicine and surgery, it's hard to actually do that. I'm not saying it's not possible, but you have to have a certain grade, and then it's competitive, because you that want to cross, there are over 100 persons who are coming from maybe nursing, coming from other departments, coming from mathematics, who also want to cross to medicine and surgery. So the competition is intense. So at the end of the day, if the federal government wants to put an end to certain courses, there should be a kind of agreement, with HASU. It should not just be like, you want to impose certain things on them. I mean, they understand the business much better. I'm not saying the doctor does not understand too, but then they should agree and not just try to put an end to certain courses, basically.
Well, that being said, I think the federal government, or just like you mentioned, should have done a lot of consultations, especially with people who are directly involved and will be directly impacted by the decision they are about to make, and see exactly what their opinions are. And just recently I was talking to someone. I said, look, if there's any course that you are going to the university to study, and someone tells you, oh, you can work anywhere, you should be careful about selecting or choosing that particular course. Right. But unfortunately, most people just want to leave their homes. They would just want to go to school. Just like you mentioned, they would think of crossing from one department to the other maybe much later. And unfortunately, it's not that easy to achieve, especially in the Nigerian university system, where there is this bureaucracy around some administrative works in some universities and polytechnics in the country. So it might not be that easy. However, we can always find a way around all these things. We cannot always push things to the extent where the only result or resolve is to go on industrial action. I think we should move past that stage. I'm not saying it's not a way of getting what you want from the government. I'm just saying that we have seen too much of that, and at the end of the day, when you are coming back, if you ask them questions, oh, the reason why you went on break or on strike, have you really achieved it? I mean, you might not really get a straight answer. They might just be coming back just because other promises were made to them. And you went on break because some promises were not fulfilled. You are coming back because they made you other promises. So it becomes more and more of a rhetoric. It's a cycle. We go through the same cycle almost every time. And one thing this administration has done is that they have broken that cycle for a long time, and I don't think we should go back there. Whoever the stakeholders who are in charge of all of this, Minister of Education, Special Advisor to the President on Education, and some other major stakeholders should come to this drawing board and sit with ASU. And also, there were rumors that SANU might also, join the industrial action. These are things we should work on, that we don't push the student to the era where we are coming from. Some people went to school under duress. Some studied 5-year course for 8-7 years. I mean, I used to have pity on some students who actually went to Lautech, for example. They went through what people on the street would call shaggy. They saw a lot. Some of them will be home for over a year, sometimes 6 months, all in the name of, there are things that should be done that are not being done. And that is not limited to Lautech alone. A lot of institutions went through that, especially during some administrations in Nigeria. During President Muhammadu Buhari, we saw a little bit of that. Goodluck Bello Jonathan administration, yes, we saw a lot of that too. And one would say that Nigeria should now get to a stage where things can be done without having to go on industrial actions, without having to ask for it. There are some things that you do with intuition, you do with understanding of evolution, that we are evolving and we have gotten to a stage where we should do this, and not until when people who are actually involved are asking questions about why have we not done this. I think there was a time we were talking about how universities were being funded, and someone was asking questions, oh, do universities also make money? And when they make money, what happens to these monies made by the universities? Why do we have to get counterpart funding from the federal government if you're actually making money in these universities? But then a lot of explanations were made, and the overhead cost of running a university, was taking its toll on all these universities, and the federal government had to come in. The state government also had to come in. But in all of this, the students will have to bear the brunt if care is not taken, because there will be delay in academic calendar, which we saw in time past. I just mentioned some people had to study 5 years course for 7 years, some 8 years in some cases, and you still have to go to serve your country. So approximately 10 years spent on a 5 years course, that is a no-brainer. It should not happen to anyone. It's a total time wasting. If you studied abroad, all these things could have been sorted out maybe in 3 years or less than 4 years. However, Nigerians are still going through that kind of situation. Then we are joking or toying with loss of academic motivation for some students. In this situation, a top student might just become average, while an average student might just become, something different entirely. So if care is not taken, we are driving them towards where we will continue to complain of brain drain, whereas the education sector did not prepare them for situations that might arise in the future. And that for me is a total challenge on the education sector. It's an assault on the education sector in Nigeria, and the presidency should do something about it. In fact, there are some areas of governance that requires 100% attention of the president, okay? Because without the education sector, I don't think the country will be anywhere near development in the next 10 years. And that's something we should invest in right now to make sure that we get to the stage where we can say, oh, we have a very strong education sector. And, I just mentioned loss of academic motivation, which also leads to psychological and emotional vices and some other things like that. People will get to a stage where everyone has a breaking point. And no matter how hard you want to form, no matter how strong-headed you think you are, mentally strong you think you are, I mean, there will be a point where you feel like, I can no longer do this anymore. We have seen people drop out of institutions because of strikes getting too long, and they had to go learn a trade. Some even left university. Oh, we are going to be on strike. Okay, whatever it is, just leave school, come home, start your, going back to where you were learning fashion designing or whatever. But before you know it, we experienced it some times ago where before the strike was called off, this person graduated from where he was learning. She was learning how to make cakes and the likes. And I was asking questions. What if she had invested all her life in all of this? She could have been something really big at this time. But, we cannot rule out the factor of education in anything you do, because it stands you out amongst your peers. I mean, whatever you do as a person that has gone to school and school has gone through you, just like people will say on the street, it gives you an edge. It makes you different amongst your peers. I mean, the way you communicate, the way you package your business, your education definitely will show in it. However, if you didn't even go to school, all these things can be paid for. I mean, if you can hire someone that can help you do it. And that's where someone was telling me a few years ago that, look, I did not go to school. Okay, according to him, in quote, I did not read any book. But what I have been able to do is to employ people who actually went to school to help me do my business, and that is the benefit I'm reaping today. So instead of now working for someone to get things done, why not, do it yourself? But then the education sector is not that encouraging right now. But we have seen a little bit of improvement. We just hope that in the next few years, we get better, and then, things can be done the right way. And lastly on that, when students go on industrial action, on strike, actually when schools go on strike and then students will have to go back home, it increases the financial burden on the parents, because while you were going to school, you took pocket money. When you are coming back, I don't think there has ever been anyone that said, oh, the pocket money you gave me when I was going to school remains maybe 10,000 naira.
It's not possible.
Yemi would understand that because she's done that a couple of times. So it's a challenge. It's a burden on the parents, because when you come back home, you automatically become another mouth they have to feed at home. And that does not stop them from giving you pocket money when they leave for work every morning. So that, for me, is something that if we are not going to run these families aground, we should make sure that wherever they are spending money, there should be a result they can be proud of, and that is my own submission on that.
Exactly. Let me take it from the point of the universities. I think they make money. They have sources of generating internal.
Some even
revenue.
have businesses.
Exactly.
Look at UI, for example. They make water by themselves. I think they make bread. There are so many other businesses. In fact, there are halls where you can.
I think that's where the bulk of the money comes from, because we have the ICC and there are other halls, especially even in the hostels now. They have halls and then they give it to people and then they generate money from that. And then I think I listened to one of the professors at a time, and then he was trying to explain to people, and he said what they pay for electricity alone in a year, is a lot of money. And then still, students will still complain about, okay, I think recently they even wanted to go on a strike. There was a protest, actually, and then some halls decided to go out and then protest about, lack of electricity now that they're even preparing for exams, or maybe they've even started the exams. So it tells us that, it takes a lot to run a university. But then this is my concern, because at the end of the day, even if the universities generate money, the federal government should still help in a way, because if you look at the private universities that we have in this country, owned by individuals, I don't think the student complain about electricity. That tells us that it is possible to run a university and ensure that the students enjoy electricity, the best way they can. So I think the federal government can still maybe try to help. They have been helping, because if they have not been helping, the money the universities are generating cannot really run a university. It's not possible. Yes, they are generating money, but it's not enough to run a university. You still have to pay the salaries of the lecturers and hire more people. And then I think the students are also bearing the brunt. Why do I say that? Initially, some federal universities were not paying beyond 40,000-30,000, for tuition fee, in a particular session. But then recently, I think in the last few years, they had to raise the bar. Some of them are not paying over 200. As a matter of fact, some had to defer their admission because they know they cannot afford. Let me go and work first. So if I gather small money, maybe they left, when they were in 200 level, they'll come back and then they'll finish
introduction
up.
of NEL fund.
Exactly. But then how many students are actually actually have access to neofilm, basically. Because sometimes I just hear the numbers and I'm wondering, but then some students deliberately will not even look for information. Some don't even know how they can actually access the platform and then apply for loan. So it tells us that even the student must be intentional as well. If you know you cannot afford it, why don't you, mix with people, ask questions, go on the site, you get information there and you get your loan. And then I've also seen people who said, the process of actually applying is rigorous. And then it will take a lot. I think that should be worked on as well. The federal government should make it. No, I'm not saying they should make it easy because obviously it's about money. But then maybe it should just be exactly.
Bottlenecks should be removed.
Because it's not even about the federal government. It's about those who are in charge now. Because we like to blame the federal government, the central a lot. But then what about those who are in charge of this? They will be the ones to make it work at the end of the day. And then back to the issue of scrapping some courses. I think the federal government can also find a way. If they want to scrap some courses, fine. They should find a way of maybe creating some courses around tech, because the reason why some persons will not go to universities today is because the course they really want to study is not available. They want to do something around tech. Yes, we have computer science across some universities, but I think there are other courses beyond computer science that are tech related, that people who have interest in tech, because that's the reason why you see some companies now. I don't want to call them cafe now, but there are some companies now. They run those courses and then they charge, some charge as high as 200,000, some charge as high as maybe 250 to learn some courses. You will see them around Gate, you see them around Akobo. They have that establishment and then they allow students to come in. So if students can pay for that, if people can pay for that, even aside their tuition fee, it means they can actually afford to go for the course in a university. So beyond that, because Dr. Tuji also mentioned tech courses, because soft skills that will get you more. Let's talk about programming, talk about coding and things like that. We should have it. I know they teach it a little bit in computer science, but not in the broad way. So if we can have those courses, stand individually, it's going to be brilliant. Many people will leave some of these courses. They will leave biochemistry and go and study. I mean, the way tech is going now in Nigeria, you can tell that it's very lucrative. So I think they should try and inculcate that into the system as well. Give people. There are people. See, if you some persons in the UK who are even Nigerian, who were born there, they will tell you they never went to the university. Just went to college because it's expensive.
It wasn't necessary.
It's very, very expensive. And if you check their level of enlightenment, you understand that before you can compare somebody who did college alone in UK with somebody who has a BA in Nigeria. Sometimes when you listen to these people, you'll be asking yourself, am I really sure I have I have a degree? Because these people, their system is okay, their syllabus is okay. So sometimes it's not even necessary for you to go to the maybe university or something like that. So we should work on that. Most of them, they just went for skills. They didn't even go to the university after college straight, to just go and learn some skills. So I think we should inculcate that too.
Well, taking it from where you stopped. Now talking about computer science and tech courses, I think computer science is more or less like a foundation for any tech course you want to study anywhere around the world. However, we should get to a stage where people can now do advanced courses in anything tech or computer sciences in the university, just like you mentioned. But I think one thing we should also look at is our teaching approach, our syllabuses. They should be revised somehow. I was speaking to someone recently who happens to be a road construction engineer. Raf was from the UK, and I was asking questions, and he was like, "Look, I never went to university. As soon as I was done with high school, there was no college. I just started working, and the only thing I was trying to fathom there was, how was it taught? That made him to be so sure of himself that, yes, this thing, I can do it. It means that aside from going to classes, there were practical ways of drilling these things home with their students. And if you still check some of our schools today, you realize that lesson note of about 10 years ago is still being used. All they have to do is to come to class and say, look, you are doing this today, you just copy and paste, and that's it. You explain a little bit and then you leave the class. There's no way we are going to make the best of ants out of those students, because, even some teachers have not improved. The same thing you study, you have not upskilled. The same certificate you had maybe 10 years ago is still the same thing you parade today, and you are teaching students who are in the, children or students who are in the computer age. They are way smarter than you even before they left their homes. So when you say some things to them, I mean, they find it unreasonable. Some of them don't no longer listen in class. It takes zeal from a serious student to now do more, find more, maybe research more. I mean, to know better than what they are currently being taught in class. That is not to undermine the efforts of teachers and lecturers in the Nigerian universities and secondary schools. But what I'm saying is we can always evolve. We can do better. We can look at areas of, some teachers don't even know how to use AI till today. They don't even know that AI can simplify their jobs. But then, it is quite unfortunate that some people have even moved past the era of writing lesson notes with AI. They have already started looking for other ways to simplify education for their students and making it a lot better for them. I was talking to someone yesterday, and in the university, a lecturer that wasn't even on site was insisting that students must write something. I mean, they must still write with their hands and submit. And I was like, what happened? You are not even on site. What happens to, even if you are going to write, attach this to your mail and forward to me. I will read from there and know exactly what you score. We should get to a stage where people study online. I know people. I had about 2-3 courses I did, and of course they are not even in Nigeria. And I applied and I was running it online and I got my certification. So why do we have to? I mean, it's becoming more and more of a system that has refused to change, a system that has refused to evolve. The question now is it the system or the people who run the system? Because they are two different things. If the people who run the system have failed to evolve, the system will not change. But if the system is also hindered in one way or the other, there will still be a problem. So we should look at how to make these two things work so that the students that are passing through these secondary schools and universities will not become just average when they could be excellent.
Right. So I think it's both ways, the system and of course the people. Because take for instance now, some COM member will go to a particular secondary school and they will tell you, you take 4 courses or 4 subjects now, you take 4 classes, and you begin to wonder, how am I supposed to do this? Because the worst scenario is somebody who studied computer science and you're telling the person to come and take biology. The person can take, that is even still close. Maybe somebody who studied English now, you're telling the person to come and take a biology. That person obviously maybe went to art class, and then studied English in school. So you begin to wonder, how am I supposed to take this? I remember a lady was frustrated. She had to make a video and it went viral. That why are these people asking me to take a course I never even went through in secondary school, not even university? And the principal was telling her, you can take it now. You went to school, you had a degree. You're a graduate. You don't know that you might sabotage the future of those young kids. That's why I said in China, for instance, I see videos online, and you discover that they teach mathematics using their language, indigenous language. The reason why some persons will never understand mathematics till tomorrow is because the grammar is too much. Take so there are some topics in mathematics, even for elderly ones who are advanced. If you don't understand English, you are going to fail that question. Even in white, take bearing for instance, too much grammar. If you can't interpret the question, there's a problem. You cannot solve the question. So I think, I'm not saying we should not use English to teach mathematics, but then maybe we can simplify it.
I used to have a maths teacher that would, come to class. I will remember his name. He would come to class. He would talk to himself for 1 hour and then leave. And, people were like, we don't even understand the thing. So the last straw that broke the camel's back was when our further maths teacher left the school. Very good man. He was teaching further maths and also taking economics at the same time. Very brilliant man. He would teach you, and then if you fail that exam, you will know that you are the problem. Okay, and the moment that man left, Mr. Nassar, he was from Ghana at that time. The other teacher who was taking maths was asked to also take off further mathematics. That was when the protest started. This person has not finished teaching mathematics. You're asking him to
further math is advanced,
which is advanced. Everyone. It was quite obvious that the management had to say, "Look, wait, we are going to get you a new further maths teacher." I think at the point it was eventually, firmed out to take another subject instead of mathematics because nobody really understood what he was saying. He was just going to write face the chalkboard all through 1 hour, continue to write, do the magic by himself. And we would be doing that with his textbook glued to his hand, meaning that he was probably also copying and then pasting on the board. and no one understood what he was saying. So we should get to that stage where, and that was, I don't want to blame him for what he was doing. It was still the same method with which he was taught, that he was using to transfer knowledge to other students. How about ways, there was a day I was watching a particular video, and quadratic equation was solved, in a totally simple manner, and I was like, so I wasted all this time trying to understand quadratic, and when it could be much easier like this. I mean, it was so simple that I was like, wow, I think, we missed it totally. We could have actually evolved beyond. I'm not saying that, the message they were passing that time was not correct. But we have gotten to that stage where everything is changing. There are different if you are going to a market, there are different ways to enter a market. You don't force that particular way that you know on people. You can also research and tell them, oh, you can do it this way or this way. Mostly, when people provide a solution to a problem for you, they only give you one-way traffic. That's the only thing I know. But some other people will come and say, look, you can either do it this way or do it this way. It is now your job to choose the complex form or the simpler one. I mean, it depends on what you want to do. Maybe you want to do show off and tell your teacher that you actually understand what he's been teaching you. But then, my whole point is that if we research more, if we do the right thing, if teachers evolve, if they also go back to the class and also learn the new things that are out there, it will also help the students they are teaching. You don't bring a lesson note of 10 years and just give it to a student to write on the chalkboard and just explain for 5 minutes and then leave the class. And the next thing you are saying, oh, assignment, oh yeah, tear a sheet of paper, there will be test today. Some even come to class with no announcement about test and say, oh, you are writing test today. I think, yes, we understand that examination most times is not a true test of knowledge. But hey, give these people the opportunity to be able to express themselves the more. And that's my own submission. Anyway.
Exactly. Just to conclude, because some teachers who do that in secondary school, they will not tell you, they just give you tests. The trauma now continues in uni. It's more intense in that particular area. Because you can just wake up in the morning in the second week of resumption or third week of resumption, and then you get a class and they tear a sheet of paper and you write. So people are even if you listen to some students, they're exhausted mentally, and then that's why a lot of persons just want to leave. That's why.
How about those who attach marks to their handouts?
That's another problem. I think a lecturer in one polytechnic in Nigeria, the students have had enough of what he was doing, and then they were mass communication students. You know them now. So they wrote certain things that were very indicting about him, and then that led to his, he was actually expelled. That lecturer was expelled because he would tell you can't join a group. For those lecturers that would tell you, this class, you guys will divide yourself into 10 groups. If you don't have handouts in a group, you don't have a mark. That was the kind of lecturer that he was. So he was expelled, and then maybe that gave some sanity to the department for years. I don't know what is going on now, because that was like many years ago. Even mathematics that we are talking about, some students have argued that the example the teacher will use in class is only simple. But when it comes to assignments, you know what? Wait, though. But when this man was in the class, it was simple. How come I'm having issues solving the assignment, basically? I think we just need to do better, find a way to simplify things to the students, basically.
Well, it's a convenient place to leave that particular topic this morning. It is time to help you plan your day and take weather report on the show this morning. All right, and we'll be starting with the ancient metropolitan city of hospitality, Ibadan. In Ibadan, this morning, weather is currently at 25 degrees Celsius, and there will be a slight rise to 27 degrees Celsius later in the morning, as it will be cloudy with humidity at 17%. There's a promise of scattered thunderstorms in the afternoon, and there will be a slight increase to 28 degrees Celsius. Humidity will be at 42%, while it will be cloudy in the evening as weather drops to 25 degrees Celsius, humidity at 24%, and overnight it will be mostly cloudy, and humidity will be at 6% right here in the city of Ibadan today.
And from Ibadan, we cross to Abeokuta, North Ogun. Weather in Abeokuta feels like 26 degrees Celsius, and later is expected to be around 28 degrees Celsius, cloudy around 16%. In the afternoon, we have 29 degrees Celsius, scattered thunderstorms around 48%. And in the evening, it drops to 26 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy around 4%. And overnight, it drops to 25 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy around 10%. And that's what we have for Abeokuta this morning.
And it's going to be really wet in the center of excellence today, and that's talking about Lagos. Weather in Lagos right now is currently at 31 degrees Celsius, but it will drop later in the morning to 28 degrees Celsius, cloudy with humidity at 18%. A promise of showers in the afternoon as weather rises further to 29 degrees Celsius, humidity at 47%. And overnight, in the evening and overnight, there will be few showers in Lagos as weather it will be around 27 degrees Celsius and 26 degrees Celsius respectively, and humidity will be same at 31% right there in the city of Lagos.
And from Lagos, we cross to Ekiti southwest. Weather in Ekiti this morning feels like 23 degrees Celsius. And later in the morning is expected to be around 27 degrees Celsius, scattered thunderstorms around 51%. In the evening, it drops to 24 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy around 6%. And overnight, it drops to 23 degrees Celsius, cloudy around 4%. And that's the way you are for Ekiti South this morning.
All right, a shift to Port Harcourt, River State in the south-south this morning. Weather is currently at 22 degrees Celsius. It will rise by 4 degrees Celsius to 26 degrees Celsius and mostly cloudy later in the morning with humidity at 24%. It will rise to 27 degrees Celsius in the afternoon. It will be cloudy with humidity remaining at 24%. But it will be mostly cloudy in the evening and overnight with weather at 22 degrees Celsius and 21 degrees Celsius respectively, and humidity also maintains 5% on both at both times in Port Harcourt, River State today.
And from Port Harcourt, we cross to Suleja, and weather in Suleja feels like 23 degrees Celsius, and later in the morning is expected to be around 26 degrees Celsius, cloudy around 11%. In the afternoon, we have 30 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy around 13%, and in the evening, it drops to 25 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy around 11%. And overnight, it drops to 24 degrees Celsius, cloudy around 3%. And that's what we have for Suleja, Niger this morning. All
right, away from Suleja, we take a tour to the FCT this morning as weather in Abuja right now is currently at 23 degrees Celsius. It rises by 3 degrees Celsius to 26 degrees Celsius later in the morning. It will be cloudy and humidity will be at 9%. Also, in the afternoon, it rises again to 29 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy, humidity at 24%. It will remain partly cloudy in the evening as weather drops to 25 degrees Celsius and humidity will be at 11%. And overnight, it slightly drops to 24 degrees Celsius, humidity will be at 3%, and it promises to be cloudy in the FCT today.
And of course, from FCT, we cross to Kano Municipal. Weather in Kano this morning feels like 24 degrees Celsius. And later in the morning is expected to be around 30 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy around 1%. In the afternoon, we have 35 degrees Celsius, isolated thunderstorms around 30%. And in the evening, it drops to 29 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy around 4%. And overnight, it drops to 27 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy around 0%. And that's what we have for Kano Municipal.
All right, lastly on weather reports this morning, we take this one from Maiduguri, of course in Borno State this morning. And right now in Maiduguri, it is mostly cloudy with weather at 31 degrees Celsius. But it will rise by 3 degrees Celsius to 34 degrees Celsius later in the morning, partly cloudy with 0 chance of humidity. It will remain partly cloudy in the afternoon as it rises to 37 degrees Celsius. Humidity will be at 2%. But it will be mostly clear in the evening as it drops to 30 degrees Celsius and humidity will also be at 2%. And overnight, it will be partly cloudy, weather drops by 2 degrees Celsius to 28 degrees Celsius, and humidity will be at 1% right there in Maiduguri, Borno State today. And that's all we can take on weather report this morning. So thank you for being a part of the show so far. Do well to link up with us on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast, and on X, formerly Twitter at Dominion Cast. You can watch us live on our website at www.dominion.org.ng. dominion.org.ng. Do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Dominion Broadcast and our Facebook page. Don't forget to like at Dominion Broadcast Television. Drop your comment there. We'll take them on this show. It is time to go on a quick break, and when we return, we'll take the news. We'll be back.
Glad to have you here. This is Daybreak News on Dominion Television, Ibadan. I'm Oluwayemi Adelakun. President Bola Tinubu has appointed Segun Aina as the new registrar of the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, succeeding Ishaq Uluede, whose tenure ends July 31st, 2026. The appointment was announced by Presidential Advisor Bayo Nonuga Aina, a professor of computer engineering at Obafemi Awolowo University, is described as an expert in digital infrastructure, examination systems, and institutional reforms with experience advising government agencies and examination bodies. The presidency expressed confidence that Aina would build on reforms introduced under Oloyede and strengthen the operations of JAMB. The Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, Sokoto Zone, has warned of a possible industrial crisis in public universities over what it described as the federal government's failure to fully implement agreements reached with the union. Speaking in Sokoto, ASU Zonal Coordinator Abubakar Sadu said delays in implementing the 2025 federal government ASU agreement will create tension across campuses. The union said unresolved issues include unpaid allowances, salary arrears, promotion benefits, withheld salaries from the 2022 strike, pension delays, and welfare concerns in several universities. ASU also raised concerns over insecurity and funding challenges, warning that continued delays could trigger fresh industrial unrest in the university system. Similarly, the Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, Polytechnics SANIP, has called for full implementation of directives from have been released. Special Advisor on Security to Governor Seyi Makinde have been released. Special Advisor on Security to Governor Seyi Makinde Bayomi Fagbinro. There was no evidence of the release. The victims were abducted during an attack on 3 schools in the Auru Esileya water axis of Ogbomoso, where 2 persons were killed and about 30 teachers and students were taken. Also, the Oyo State Police Command says it has no confirmation that the victims have been freed. Authorities urge the public to disregard unverified social media reports on the incident. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has invited the Executive Chairman of Osun State Universal Basic Education Board, Ibukun Fadipe, for questioning over the management of federal government counterpart grants and the use of intervention funds. In a letter signed by USS's Director of Investigation, Abdul Karim Chukwu, the Commission directed Fadipe to appear at its Abuja headquarters on May 26, 2026. The FCC said the probe focuses on the utilization of counterpart grants and the execution of projects under the Universal Basic Education Commission scheme in Osun State from 2024 to date. The Commission requested documents including evidence of counterpart funding, project records, contract details, payments document, and approvals linked to the grants. In business, the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission and the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority have pledged stronger collaboration to reduce regulatory uncertainties and boost investor confidence in Nigeria's oil and gas sector. The commitment followed a meeting in Abuja between NMDPRA Chief Executive Rabiu Abdullahi Umar and NUPRC Commission Chief Executive Orisha Meiwa Egeson. According to a statement by NUPRC spokesperson Eniola Akinkutu, both regulators agreed to deepen cooperation and promote a more coordinated framework across the upstream, midstream, and downstream petroleum sectors. The agencies also stressed the need to speak with one voice on issues affecting operators, investors, and Nigeria's energy market. And in sport, Nigeria national football team head coach Eric Chu will depart for London today with home-based players and technical crew ahead of the Unity Cup tournament. Chu named 7 home-based players in his squad, who 20 foreign-based professionals will join for the friendly competition. The team is expected to depart from Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja this morning. The Super Eagles will take on the Zimbabwe national football team in a semi-final clash next Tuesday at the Valley home of Charlton Athletic FC. India and Jamaica will face off in the other semi-final. You can visit our website on www.dominion.org.ng to watch us live and interact with us. You can also follow us across our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn at Dominion Broadcast and X at Dominion Cats. And that ends Daybreak News on Dominion Television. I'm Oluwayemi Adelako saying thank you for watching and good morning. Welcome you back. Thank you for staying with us. This is Newspaper Headlines and Analysis. I'm Oluwayemi Adelako. This morning we'll start with Nigerian Tribune, and of course with the banner headline that says APC Guba primaries, a drama in state as incumbent governors win second term ticket. And that headline has this writers: Amzad Adiola, Bago Yusuf, Tu Aliyu, Sonny Nnamdi Idris, Rada Tinda emerged candidate. 345,375 members of them Oborevuri in Delta. Ali takes early lead in Oyo. Isiaku Gwama defeat two opponents in Gombe. Apprehension in Kora's exercise oaths today. So people are expecting a lot of news to break even as we progress for this particular day, especially the result of Oyo State and across all the states. And of course, some governors who are serving currently for their first term have emerged, the candidates for their state one more time, except for the likes of Fubara, who stepped down from the race, according to him, for the sake of peace. And away from that headline, We also have this one that says, Tinubu appoints 39-year-old Aino as new JAMB registrar. Oloyede exit July. And of course, huge applause online yesterday to say, okay, nice. We are glad to see, new people take up, roles like this. And then we look forward to how he's going to, refurbish, this particular sector. And of course, tackle the irregularities, that marred, the examination. I think around last year and even this year, there were still some complaints about the result. I think it was massive last year. And that was when some person said, their result, had issues. And some of them had to write again, some of them had to write to JAMB, basically. I remember there was a sister that had to write to JAMB, for the sake of her brother, and then she was like, my brother is too bright for this particular result, and so something was done about it, and then something good came out of it. And away from that line, we also have this one that says non-implementation of 2025 agreement may trigger fresh varsity crisis as once, as saying if federal government fails to say something. And I think this administration should actually see to it that they do not, that the federal universities do not go on strike, because it might actually mar that score that this administration has been maintaining for years. Because even if you listen to the spokesperson of the president, the aides, when they go on national TV, they always talk about it. That have you noticed that ASU has not gone on strike in the last 3 years ever since this administration came to power? So now imagine if ASU decides to go on strike, maybe this year or next year. Maybe that's, that tampered with that record of this administration. So I want to believe that in a way to safeguard this record, they might just find a way to settle ASU, basically. And away from that, we also have this headline that says, Tinubu has no plan to rename Nigeria, abolish Sharia law. That's coming from presidency. And that's because there were rumors around town that the president might actually change, rename Nigeria, or maybe abolish Sharia law and things like that. And it caused uproar, especially with people who align with this particular law. And of course, the general, public is speaking about renaming their country, basically. And away from that, we also have this headline that says that 2027 court nullifies INEC's timetable on submission of candidate. APC will witness mass exodus in days. That's coming from ATC. That's a great speculation. But then don't forget that the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has a way of placating people, even if you're disgruntled at the beginning. You just discover that the person that was on national TV or maybe granted an interview and complained about a lot of things, is now still praising the president, praising the administration. So anything can happen. So it really does not matter. So are we going to experience or see massive exodus out of the APC? Really cannot tell yet. Maybe after the elections, because if some persons are not happy with what is going on, they might just stay put in the party. And then we have seen a lot of it happen over time. People do anti-party, they're in the party, but they are not in the party, basically. And away from that, let's cross to Daily Trust. And I have the banner headline with the kicker. 2027, court opens door for defections. Oh, wow. God is saying, allow people still defect. And then a lot is going on actually at this point. I just know they manage this well, and then it's not lead to more internal crisis across, political parties. And another headline is saying, court sentences man to death for killing girlfriend. That's the sad news. What could it be? It's really something. Tinubu appoints Professor JAMB registrar, and then import license sparks rule between Dangote refinery and marketers. When are we going to see the end of it, or hear the end of it, when it comes to issues around Dangote refinery and of course the marketers? This is not the first time that they will go through one issue or the other. It was intense at the time, and then these people were saying we need to break the monopoly of Dangote refinery. It's doing a lot. There was a time Dangote even had issues with some of his workers, the truck drivers, and then things like that. Some were sacked at some point, and then they were reinstated back again. So good luck to Dangote refinery and of course at the marketers on this one. Another headline is saying Guama Chinda win. Sharafani Ali leads in Oyo as APC postpones primaries in 3 states. We are waiting for that result, especially people in Oyo State, Ibadan, for instance, cannot wait to hear the results. But then I want to advise you, do not check or believe any result you see, especially on Twitter. A lot of fake results flying up and down. It might hit you in the face if you are not looking well. So, until the newspaper outlets decides to release the result, do not believe anything you see on Twitter. basically. And away from that, we also have this headline. Okay, let's cross from Daily Trust to another paper, which is New Telegraph this morning. I have this one that says 2027 election timetable. Court nullifies INEC's deadline, gives parties till September to submit membership registers. And that's a good, it's a long window actually, because this is still May. Yeah, May is ending. Then we have May, June, July, August, September to still submit, because I remember a particular politician actually frowned against this to say, why is INEC asking for submission this early when the election is still February? So I think that matter was taken to court, and court has ruled that give political parties till September to submit their registers, and so that's what they'll be doing basically. And then away from that, I also have this headline that says Abia North Primary Senate Press Corps congratulates Ojikalu over victory. Another headline is saying the Patriot raises concern over rising insecurity, poverty ahead 2027 elections. And then this headline is saying 2027 PDP's Paul Nongo's son to face Suswam and senatorial race. And people are slugging it out across the state, speaking about the primaries. And still taking headlines from New Telegraph, I have this one that says presidency, Tinubu has no plan to change Nigeria's name, abolish Sharia law. I think we've been able to establish that particular point. And from New Telegraph, we cross to the Punch newspaper, and we have this headline that says, Oyo kidnap carried out by dislodged JAS terrorists. That's coming from DHQ. And I think yesterday I was reading a report released by the DHQ, and they were saying that attack was not carried out by terrorists, and now they are saying it was carried out by dislodged JAS terrorists. So we got to find out more about this, because investigations are still ongoing on this particular matter. But the most important thing is to ensure that we get these people out, safely, those that were abducted, basically. And away from that headline, we also have this one that says APC unveils 25 governorship candidates as Kwara Bauchi suffer delay. Amzat Ali, Yayi Margin Lagos, Oyo Ogun, 16 sitting governors return unopposed. Consensus crisis, logistics stole governorship primaries in Kwara and Bauchi state. I think by now we should have been able to put behind us issues around logistics basically. Chinda emerges Rivers APC governorship candidate, party unveils presidential primary guidelines. And then away from that, we have this one that says Chinese investors may acquire 51% stake in Port Harcourt Warri refineries. Wow. Chinese investors may acquire 51% stake in Port Harcourt Warri refineries. I think that's one thing to also talk about. Don't forget that these refineries have been moribund for years, and that we keep spending on these refineries. Now, this headline is saying the Chinese investors who are willing to invest in this refinery might actually acquire 51% stake in the Port Harcourt Warri refineries. Is that going to be okay for us? I think we should think this through, and of course go for the best option. From the Punch, we cross to the Guardian newspaper. This morning, I have a headline that says INEC timetable, relief for opposition as parties weigh options after court ruling. Presidency debunks plan to rename Nigeria, abolish Sharia law. Another headline is saying Kwankwanso denies working for Tinubu's re-election in 2027. And then he said, because I remember a particular aide of the president was on national TV recently, and he said Kwankwanso is working for Tinubu behind the scene, and so people should not get carried away by him supporting Peter Obi, and of course admitting that he doesn't mind becoming VP to aim for the next election in that political party, NDC. And so he's saying that he's not working for the Tinubu administration. Yes, it might have worked for him in time past, but it's not working for him this particular time. And away from that, we also have this one that says Lekki Lagos Island account for over 27% of criminal cases in Lagos, says government. Lekki Lagos Island accounts for over 27% of criminal cases in Lagos. I think that's something to look at, because Lekki is so particular in Lagos. I think a lot of persons want to live there, even though life there is very expensive. Rent is expensive, but then people still move there. So if you check, the number of criminal cases that we've heard about, in Lagos State, you discover that particular area, we've had so much cases. Imagine when Lekki is taking 27% of the criminal cases in Lagos State. Lekki alone, 27%. So they obviously other areas, have to share, amongst themselves about 73% that is left, basically. And finally, for this morning, I have this headline on Daily Sun that says Anyoku orders raise the alarm over worsening insecurity, poverty, demand urgent action from the federal government. ASU also, I read an headline this morning that says ASU is also calling on the federal government to end insecurity and, of course, ensure that the lives of people are safe, basically. It's time to say BYA on this particular segment, but we are not done yet for this particular session. We take a short break, and when we come back, we move on to Big Story. My name is Luayemi Adelakon. Please stay with us.
right, good morning once again, and welcome to Daybreak Live Extra on Dominion Television. I'm Samson Balogun, and this is The Big Story, your frontline platform for conversations shaping the political future of our nation. The dust may be settling after the APC primaries, but the political tension is far from over. Across party lines and among loyal supporters, questions are already emerging. Can the ruling party truly reconcile its internal divisions? Will disappointed aspirants and their supporters rally behind the chosen candidates? Or could the unresolved grievances weaken the party's strength ahead of the governorship election? Today we take a closer look at the politics, the power play, and the possibilities as we ask the question. After the APC primaries, can the party unite ahead of the governorship election? Is one big question we are going to ask this morning. And joining us to dissect the issues is public affairs analyst and political commentator Afolabi Afolami. And of course, we say thank you for joining us on the big story this morning. The aftermath of every political primary often reveals the true strength and maturity of a political party. While primaries are designed to produce candidates through democratic processes, which are not so democratic in some places, they are also with intense competition, shifting loyalties, and sometimes deep internal fractures. For the APC, the stakes are particularly high because they've been the opposition in Oyo State for 8 years, almost 8 years. Beyond winning the governorship election, the party must first confront the challenge of healing internal wounds, managing aggrieved camps, and presenting a united front to the electorate. Political observers believe that how the party handles reconciliation in the coming weeks could determine not only its electoral chances, but also its long-term stability and influence. Today, we explore the realities behind the headlines, the alliances, the grievances, the negotiations, and the road ahead for the APC in 2027. And that is the point where I bring my guest on board this morning. He's a seasoned public affairs analyst and has years of monitoring of elections and its processes in Nigeria. I welcome you, Afolabi Afolami, for joining us on the show once again this morning.
Thank you, my brother. Good morning, Nigerians, and happy weekend. Starts today.
You monitored, you monitored the primaries.
Yeah.
You saw what happened at the State of Assembly primaries, Federal House of Reps primaries, the Senate primaries, and now the gubernatorial primaries.
Yes, the
ADC will be having theirs today.
Yes.
The APC had theirs yesterday. And even till now, there has not been any official announcement. But judging by rumors flying around, results flying around, some say, the current senator representing Oyo South Senatorial District, and that is talking about Senator Sharafadin Abiodun Ali, is currently leading with wide margin, while Senator Abdul Fatai Buhari, representing Oyo North Senatorial District, came second, while former Minister of Power, Chief Adebayo Adelabu, Abdulwahid Adelabu, came third, according to some report out there. But there is no official statement from the APC as of now backing that result. So, having monitored all of that and the grievances you have seen amongst the Olusegun Olaleye radical, with the display day before yesterday, and some other people have actually come out to say, look, well, you might have done what you think pleases you, but we still have some things to say. Even in Lagos, someone like Desmond Elliott, Honorable Desmond Olushola Elliott, said, look, the process was marred by flaws all around, and I don't think I want to take the result in good faith. I might likely go to court to challenge this particular result that produced someone else instead of myself, as the honorable representing Surulere, one of the constituencies in Surulere. Now, let's take a look at the current situation, which you have seen so far. Do you think APC stands a chance of bringing all the warring parties, the aggrieved parties, back into the fold to work as a united front in the 2027 general elections? That is one big question we are going to answer this morning. And also, well, you can answer that before I bring you, because it might just be a complex situation.
Yes. Thank you very much. The APC is currently facing a very tough challenge right now, having been the sitting political party at the federal level, and haven't suffered a lot at the state level, especially in your state here, where they stayed back the government for 8 years, and due to their inability to coordinate themselves at that point then, and now going into many chaos, many hindrances, many challenges during this primary that just concluded yesterday. I want to say that their inability or their ability to fuse back all aggrieved parties, all hungry members, all grassroots, soldiers who are aggrieved by the results is one big challenge that will make them to be united, that will also tell if they can handle the coming election. Because if they fail to do that within the very first 1 to 2 months of this time around, they will not find it easy governing this state again. And I say that with all facts by what has happened so far. Before now, we saw the way the former minister for power bring his people to the Liberty Stadium to declare his intention to contest for governorship. We saw the way members, all other members, we are also doing that. We saw the way Senator Fatai Buhari came to the secretariat to declare his intention and tell members there why he wants to contest, what has been made of him, what he has done so far. So Aberdeen at least has also done the same in his own local government, telling people what he wants to do. And we've seen why some people we want to say we want to do this. Remember too that at the Ibadan North rerun by-election that
produced Honorable Folajimi Ekule.
Yes, they also lost the election because of a kind of disagreement, internal crisis, and that was and when people said that they lost, because if you look at the man who was there before, Jagaban, his gentle soul rest in peace, his contribution in that local government alone, his way of putting politics.
Do you think his goodwill before he passed could have actually won the APC that seat again, if not for the crisis in the past?
If not for the crisis, his goodwill is enough. It's a ticket for anybody coming after him. This is a man everybody, home and abroad, can beat their chest for and say yes. With what this guy has done so far.
I was at his burial arrangement at Theophilus Omulesi Hall, opposite UCH.
Yes. And
we had more PDP members at that place than even APC members. Yes. It shows he cut across all parties.
I was never a beneficiary of any good gesture, but I've seen one and I appreciate it. I see the way he does out his support to members, empowerment programs. The way he coordinated himself, he never looked out to a party members alone. He cut across everybody. He's not a religious person. He's just everywhere, and that is why the wife could be bold enough to say this program continues even after his death. And that tells, and it's not even the wife that is saying that. Many people are also on ground to support his goodwill after his death, and that tells you that if the party has been able to put themselves together, it's a ticket. It's a free ticket for anybody coming in. But because of the inability to put themselves together, they have this wrangling then, internal crisis, and they felt, somebody said he can do it. You know how best to do it. He can win the local government with or without some people, and they let it be. And that was how they lost that election. That is the first test for APC in your state. And I tell you, the present situation right now that they are in, that we have seen so many display of aggrieved members. A very good example of that Honorable Radika, who could go around the state, especially Ibadan, the secretariat, the Alafi, and some areas to say that no, he is aggrieved, he has been cheated, he has been sidelined. Some people have come to the party to take away the right of some other people, and these and many more, because Aulaya could come around to say his mind. Does not mean that some people are not also grieved. Okay,
now talking about what he said, talking about how he paraded himself and said a lot of things about Senator Sharafadin Abiodun Ali. Do you think, right now, the core progressives in Oyo State, who never left the progressive movement, are they being treated fairly in the APC of today?
The point at which APC got it wrong was at the time when the faction came on board in 2023 that make the former minister for power move into accord. And at that time, some people are so keen to the party, they remain. when he moved to the Accord Party and lost the election, he was given appointment to the federal level. If he has been that somebody who lost at the party was the person given the appointment, the party alliance, the party strength, the party loyalty may still continue. But when he got this, he moved in and he moved along with his own members who joined him in Accord. Look at the numbers of people that are with him when he left from APC to Accord and got the ticket to become the minister. There are members that left the APC called Progressive into Accord. There are members who felt aggrieved, who were not comfortable with the Jagba syndrome.
Some of them are angry that some of the conservatives that joined their party, they have taken over. They have suddenly hijacked the structure. But is it because there is no leadership of some sort in the progressives or progressive of today? Let's take a look at the current leaders in the APC as we speak. Most of them are from the PDP. Fatai Buhari was a member of the PDP before he joined the APC. Yes. Senator Sharafadin Abiodun, a member of the PDP at the time Zenith Labour Party. Before he now moved, he was even at Labour Party. Before he moved to the APC. Senator Teslim Kolawole Folari was a staunch member of the PDP. Then he moved to the APC for some reasons. These are the people who are occupying top positions in the APC right now. And if you look at the current trend, there is no core, we don't have too many core progressives who belong to the Lamist group, the Senaco, and of course, people are complaining, especially the core progressives, that this party is no longer what we used to know.
That is where we ask people to build leaders, not only become a leader and allow your followers to just follow like that. You have to disciple leaders. You have to make people see what you are doing, so that tomorrow that is not certain, if it comes, they will be very ready to enter into the shoe that you are leaving behind. You know, after the death of our former governor of Oyo State, Senator...
Was that the leader the APC greatly misses?
They miss a lot of Ajimobi within their circle. If Ajimobi is still alive, I want to believe that this crisis will not go on. This crisis will have been...
At the point, former Governor Christopher Adebayo Alawakala also moved to the APC.
Yes.
But himself and Senator Isiaq Abiola Ajimobi, who is also a former governor, they never had any issues when it comes to fielding candidates.
They never had
Was
issues.
it because they had the synergy or they were matured enough as leaders in the political party?
These people are experienced politicians. These people are mature politicians. Remember, our Senator Ajimobi was once in the Senate.
Right.
And when Alawakala was with the deputy governor of Ladoja, before he came on board as governor, he understood that terrain. He understood that leadership.
He was experienced.
He was experienced. He's the lad that produced Alapaja, the likes of Belarumi and the likes. He's part of the people that produce those guys. They understand politics. He has produced so many other politicians that are stable, even right now, continue in the politics. But I tell you, those ones then are not self-centered. Those ones are selfish members. Those ones are they are selfless people. Those ones are the people that understand their leaders, their followers. They disciple members. They don't just leave their followers to go anywhere. They take them along. They show them the way. They carry them along. They come back to inform them whatever that is going on. And that gave them, if you see the way Akala was able to gather his people there is nothing that is going on in the territorial government that Akala is not aware of. Because he get the information.
He had food soldiers.
He has food soldiers. These are the food soldiers that he don't just have them. He fed them. He fed them and gave them the sign of belonging, the maturity to know that yes, I'm a member of this party. I belong to this man. I know of many people who will want to die, put their life on ground for Alawakala.
When he left PDP, I went to ADP to contest for governor.
You know
people went with him.
They went with him. The crowd that went with him. And that was, at the time ADP was just forming, the crisis came on board on PDP and he felt, no, which of the party will I go? Immediately he went into ADP. ADP became
a very big party in Oyo State.
The name, everybody wants to belong to ADP. And when he left ADP becomes zero.
A shadow of itself.
I know the chairman of ADP then, a very close friend of mine, need to come to me and say, how do we start again? As in start from the scratch. And I told the man, the people that came into this party make the party. And that was why I used to tell people that come, The party just the name. Those in the party are who the party.
The structure.
They are the structure. They are the owner of the party. ADP, PDP, APC. It's just a name. It's just a logo. The owner of the people that make the name are those there, and that is where the text for these present APC members and leadership is facing them on their eyes right now. And I want them to quickly put themselves together, go back to history, watch what those past leaders have done, the lives of Senator Ajimobi has done, Senator Ajimobi has done, Alawakala has done, to synergize his members, to synergize his followers, to put the aggrieved members in order, and to let them believe in the party and his agenda, to let them believe in what they are pursuing, which is clinching the ticket to the governor's house.
All through the primaries, Senator Teslim Kolawole did not say a word.
It
was not seen anywhere.
Even see now, and I was at the
no press release.
I was at the point. I was at the particular.
And it has just been announced as the returning officer for the presidential primary election for your state.
And that is not enough. That is not alone.
And he's also gotten an appointment as the Renew coordinator for Renewed Papa ambassadors.
Yes, you see, scarcity is important. Scarcity brings value. Scarcity brings value. It's not only when the commodity is scarce that brings value, even when the human being is scarce.
Some said he went silent because he wanted to maintain a balance.
Scarcity brings value, my brother, and I love him for that. I just want
One would have thought seeing himself and Chief Bayo Adelabu together at parties, everywhere, he would have been a pillar of support.
Oh, no, it's not enough. It's not enough. You remember, this is the Adelabu that countered
was
this
Bayo
man.
Adelabu scam.
This is the Bayo Adelabu that countered this man's opportunity to become the governor of your state in the last election.
So you think it is payback time?
Well, we may want to say that, but even if Folari
was Bayo Adelabu paid back in his own coins by Senator Teslim Kolawole?
It may not even be by Teslim Folari. It may be by his followers. Even if Teslim Folari is not in any, is not agreed with him, as forgiving him, and say, okay, but what about the full soldier? Do you know what it takes to be a polling agent, and your party lost an election? During the point of election, people who volunteer to be party agents from Ibadan down to Okeogun, all those secretary, those inner
remote
areas, and their job is to mobilize, to canvass, to make sure that the vote counts in their favor. And at the end of the day, the result came negative against them.
Now, let's take a look at this particular one, because someone dropped a question for you and said there were clips, at least I saw one of them, of the chairman of that particular ward, okay, before the primary election. And so he spoke to the people and said, look, from above, they told us to align with Sharafadin Abiodun Ali, and all of a sudden everyone was on the same line, on the same queue. So, that being done, that erased the level playing field people were craving for.
Yes.
An influence came. Someone influenced them to queue somewhere.
Yes.
As it stands, do you think having emerged, or if emerges as the candidate of the APC, because there is no official statement yet, I'm talking about Senator Sharafadin Abiodun Ali, do you think the primaries were conducted in a way that reflects fairness and internal democracy within APC as it stands?
Before the primary, everybody has a form they pick, and at the back of that form, there was a particular form which says to you that you will be willing to withdraw. You will be willing to withdraw your aspiration when it demands. And that alone tells you that you are not going into an election that may favor you at the end of the day. See, this is what they adopted. They have adopted a consensus program and a direct primary. Two ways they have. If they have adopted another form, maybe we will be saying something else now. But this is what they have adopted. Let me tell you, people queue behind the candidacy they want to,
Option A4.
Yes, option A4 is not and this is the format the president in charge right now is using in Lagos. If you ask for a template that is being done in Lagos to be produced and used in other states, did you ask what other things attached to it? Did you know if those templates is painful? Did you know if it is favorable? Did you know how they manage their aggrieved member that fought by the side when it's against them? Remember how Obanikoro lost out in Lagos State. It was this option A4 that made him to lost out. Abike Dabiri got there. It was this option A4 that gave her the opportunity. I mean, even the likes of those Disu, many of them like that. Femi Pedro, even the other,
even Ambode lost with the same
that
situation.
is just it. So you should not be aggrieved. You should be prepared for all this. And when somebody from the top mention that, come, this is who I want you guys to align with. Let's take it. You don't have any option. In Lagos State, everybody started coming up with their withdrawal statements. Press release. And
the last person to do that was Samuel Mawuyo. Samuel Mawuyo,
I just was saying that, and he said he just received a call. Do you know where the call comes from? And everybody announced. The Jagaba himself said, well, and that is it. And that tells you this is. But you know, at the end of the day, they will still enjoy all. What we are talking about right now is how are they going to manage this crisis. In Lagos, they know how best to manage it. They don't. The loser, the winner don't take it all. The losers still benefit. So if the losers, if the winner don't take it all, losers are still finding their way in the corridor of power. Then if it is the way it is done in Lagos, let's see how it can be done here in Oyo State too.
Okay, with Adekombi as the consensus candidate of APM, the PD APM in Oyo State, as some people coined it, the PDP with an alliance with APM, Oyo State PDP anyway, because nationally they say there is nothing like that. Okay, with the current trend, Adekombi was a member of the APC.
Yes.
Do you think it will benefit from the current grievances going on in the APC, being a former member, and he still has alliances with most of these people as they are still friends?
That is the challenge before APC. If APC is unable to put their house in order, if they are unable to settle their grievances, see, I so much believe in these foot soldiers, the followers that make up the party. They are the determinant of the success of every party. And they started from the ward. The ward level are so much important that they even have zones. So ward has 4 or 5 zones. And each zones are coordinating their polling units. And I tell you, it is the ability to manage these people, bring them on board, give them the sense of belonging, and make everybody a member, not just a party member, a member of the governing council, a member of the governing house. Then you are sure of winning. If not, Adekombi that was chosen was not just ordinarily chosen. This platform I was telling you that politics is about physical and spiritual. And that is telling you that, come, if we are to use this person to what advantage, if you are to use this person to what disadvantage, you will look at those people contesting under the PDP who have come out to declare their aspiration. Adekombi is the least. To me, it's the least. The likes of Arapaja, the likes of the incumbent Speaker of the House, the likes of many people, Apatoki, many of them, the likes of Ajadi, the likes of Stephen Odidiomo, many of them declaring ambition to become the governor of Oyo State under the party, and suddenly the party settled down for Adekombi. Is a strategic move. It's a move that where this one were unable to defend their house, put their house in order. It is very easy to pull in members who will want to become a member underneath, because it's present political what are we using right now does not allow you to cross carpet, except for what I'm just hearing yesterday, even by the court ruling that submission of names extends to September. If that happens, then some people can be declaring for another party.
I was about to talk about that. With the current situation, with the new court ruling that says registration has not closed. So meaning that you can still leave if you have not contested. If you have not contested in the primary election, you can still leave and go to another political party and then get your ticket there and contest. So as it stands, do you think that there might be some defections in the APC?
My brother,
especially in Oyo State.
It's not in Oyo State. Even in Ondo State. Remember what happened in Ondo State? There was gunshots. In Ogun State, there was crisis. People boycotted the primary election at many areas. So people came on board on the TV to announce their withdrawal and asking their members to stay back and go back home, never to appear at the primary at the ward level where they need to go and vote. If this happens and they are unable to put their house together, I say it again, within the next 1 to 2 months, I tell you the defection will be large. The version will be much, and it will be to the advantage of the incumbent party, which is PDAPM.
Okay, historically, how damaging is post-election rancor in political, post-primary elections rancor in political parties in Oyo State generally?
In the last, so far, in 2007, after the primary elections, that was where we saw people moving from AD to PDP. In 2007, people moving from AD to PDP. Looking at how it was done, when late Lam Adesina said he's contesting for second term, and the former Senator Peter Adeyemo could not get the ticket for Ibadan Southwest Central District, he went to NRP. And that was why
he divided the vote.
And divided the vote. He defeated the NRP. So that person went with him, and like that, and that was how Lam Adesina lost that election to Senator Rashid Adoja. And that history still remains. And it was at that point that Babade Debu became the godfather of the day. You know, he was widely known, he take them around.
That was his big break.
That was his big break in Oyo State politics. That was where he became the man of the people. And he was able to manage and, coordinate the affairs.
He was deciding the future of some politicians.
Of so many
right in his home in Malaysia.
Yes, and that was what made some people who they are today. The likes of Arapaja, the likes of Bolarumi, the likes of many of them. There are too many to mention. And it does not just stop there. So if you are unable to manage post-election, the post-primary crisis, this is what you get. It does not end there too. It happens in 2011 when the PDP were seeing the crisis coming on from the top, and people was unable to stand. They defected. 2015 was the biggest. We had the talk about the Buhari's tsunami era,
right.
And people defected, and that was where you see Teslim Falani coming to APC. So this is the Teslim Falani that was already contested before under the platform of PDP in 2011. So you want to tell me that he has not gained his experience enough? You want to tell me that he does not understand governance? That was what gave him the opportunity to go back again to the Senate because he defected to APC. And that alone tells you who this man is. Not just an ordinary person. He's a well-equipped man in terms of politics. So people are now talking that his quietness is. We should understand that silence is golden, even in politics. You keep it quiet, keeping mute, not saying anything. People will now looking at the body language. We saw him at the mosque with Senator, with Minister Adebayo. Maybe because they are talking together, it means it looks like if they are romancing each other. But this man still keep quiet, and it went out of the political scene. You hardly see him.
His own blood brother was seen in the Sarafa Adin Abiodun Ali's camp.
And what does that tells you? That he's not there. That he's with Adebayo. And the brother is with Saraf Adin Ali. So that politicians are very intelligent people. There are people who does not normally always read politics in their institutions, but becomes big politicians, big intelligent people that can even teach the professors and the lecturers who are taking these political sciences in their institutions. And I tell you, this is where I want people managing the affair of APC right now to look back, monitor what has happened, go around, see members, call a meeting, and then put this house in order. Failure to do that, Adekunbi was not just chosen as the APM candidate. He was chosen because they foresee a crisis coming up from the APC, and they knew very well that if that crisis is unable to be managed properly,
some people would want to align.
The rush will come in.
Okay, now let's take a look at the likely solution to APC's problems in Oyo State, of the hydra-headed problems of the APC, because there is far too many, and we have too many warring factions in the APC right now. So, if it is announced that Senator Sharafadin Abiodun Ali is the candidate of the APC in Oyo State after the primaries, what do you think should be the first step he should be taking if he truly wants to win an election in 2027?
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, before doing his campaign train to Oyo State in 2023, he was at a particular gathering and was talking to Teslim Falani that if you need to win this election, you need to go out there, prostrate,
You will beg.
beg.
According to him in Yoruba, wàá tan lantern, wàá bẹ̀bẹ̀.
See, look at that word. You are Atalanta. It means if it takes you to go in the night, you need to go.
You will beg.
If it takes you to go in the morning, you go. If it takes you to call a meeting, if it takes you to cook food, eat with them. While you are serving their food, eat from their food. Go there and do that. This is what is needed right now. That is the solution. There is no Jimmy. There is no.
When President Bola Ahmed Tinubu said that to Senator Teslim Folawole, he lost.
He lost because he doesn't understand the adage. The word were too big.
And do you think Senator Sharafadin Abiodun would understand that now?
Well, I think he should, because right now it is even very good at a point like this. At that point, it was too late. At that point, many people have defected to another party. At that point, the house had divided against each other. But right now, the house is still intact. If it takes Sharafadin Ali to go with lantern, please go. If it takes you to go with some people, please go. If it takes you to go and worship with some people wherever they worship, please go. Go with members that can talk to them. Let everybody feel the sense of belonging in the party.
Do you think Oyo State APC is on the brink of collapse?
My brother, if we are not careful, we may not hear about this party again in Oyo State.
I want you to be direct.
If
Is Oyo State APC on the brink of collapse?
If we are not careful, we will not hear about APC again in Oyo State. And that is the truth. If the crisis is not well managed, if the people are not taken care of, if the alliance is not brought back right now, if we don't see that this kettle, this clay pot is broken away, if we don't take care of it on time, if we don't look after the lives and take care of our foot soldiers, they will defect. The foot soldier has nothing to lose. If they are not just comfortable with anybody, whatever they have said about you, whatever they might have said about you, that you know that yes, this is what I am. This is what I am made of. But right now that I am chosen, I don't need to be what people know me to be before. You should be the father of all. You should be a man that people want to see a new leaf, a new sign. Tell them that you have changed. You're not the one that they will see.
But they used to know.
They used to know.
Isn't that the political gimmick we used to see every 4 years?
Maybe if that comes on board, then will be the party stand a big chance to win again. Remember, they are coming up with a president that has performed so very well and is still doing very, very well. And the people still believe in him, especially right now.
I think the president's goodwill will do the magic. It
may do the magic. Although Oyo State has played 2 games that have changed from the president to the state. We have done that during the Buhari era, where we voted Buhari and somebody else was voted here.
As governor.
We voted that for Tinubu and another person was voted here. It can happen again. But for that not to happen again, the party must take care of themselves and click and build each other again. If not, we may not hear about APC again in Oyo State, Nigeria, if the house is not put in order.
With the rumor outside, lastly before we go, do you think Chief Adebayo Adelabu will remain a member of the APC? And if he remains a member of the APC, do you think he will work hand in hand with Senator Sharafadin Abiodun?
We are still saying the
or
same.
we can see, or we are likely going to see some sort of anti-party politics being played in Oyo State once again. A lot
have been said before now about the way and manner the media...
With the body language you are saying.
The media team of our brother has been managed. I want the media team to be restructured. Such that the man will be managed properly in his speech release, especially the press releases, that will not that the tone will not be destructive. Let's take it that way. I'm trying to be choosy in my words so that it will sound very well here. The word that should be used, such word, such sentences, such paragraph building should be such that the man is still with them and it's not a do or die affair. If that is done, the man can still stay. The big, he was formally in Accord and he got the ticket to become the minister. And not from Accord party, from APC. So if he lost this election and he wants to withdraw or kick against the party or work against the party, then become an ingrate to the party. He become a devil to the party.
All right, Afolabi Afolami, thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me here.
It has been a wonderful session with you.
Wonderful.
All right, as the political atmosphere continues to evolve, one thing remains certain. Elections are not won by primaries alone, but by unity, strategy, and the ability to convince the people Whether the APC can successfully close ranks after the primaries may ultimately shape the outcome of the governorship race. Many thanks to Afolabi for sharing his insights and perspectives on today's edition of The Big Story on Dominion Television. And to our viewers out there, we say thank you for staying with us on Daybreak Live Extra. The conversations continue beyond the studio because democracy thrives when citizens stay informed and engaged. I am Samson Balogun, wishing you a productive day ahead. But of course, before we go on a short break, just know that Trend Watch still comes up on this show. We'll be back after this time out.
I welcome you back. Thank you for staying with us this morning. It's time for Trend Watch, and I'm back on set with Samson Balogun. And what we have this morning is a trending video. I'm sure you might have seen it. I think Samson must have seen the video as well, of this Anambra police officer, who actually made a video, and he said, anyone who decides to record me while I'm on duty, I might actually shoot the person. I think I understand the fact that some persons don't like to be filmed. Even celebrities, they complain and they say don't film me. So before we continue, let's just take a look at the video and of course hear from him and then the things he had to say, basically.
They burn anybody well. Video me when I'm on duty. Performing my lawful duty in Nigerian government, Nigerian police for 26 years, with the suffer. They suffer every time, every day suffer. Uniform, and if buy nothing, if do for, and if give us, and if do anything, and if no accountability for us for any.
Things like that. Yeah, he must have had his reasons to say some of the things he said, but they are not justifiable. Okay, you have no reason to threaten to take any other person's life. As long as that is taped or recorded or there is a witness, you have to answer to the law of the land, and that's exactly what is going on, because he has since been arrested, according to report. And that for me is, I think the police, they are now being proactive as regards the excesses of their officers and what they do to Nigerian people. It is just disastrous that someone that knows better, that should practically know better, is found wanting in all of this. In his apology video, he mentioned he showed part of his body, bullet holes here and there, and said, look, there was an operation they went to, 17 of them, only 2 of them came back home. And even the 2 that came back home, their bodies were riddled with bullets. Sometimes if you see exactly how much you are putting in, you are pouring into a particular thing or pouring into people, and how much they are giving back to you, you would really want to, take your chances by just being on your own, or maybe taking some rash decisions, which is just it. However, this is this might just be the end of his career in the police, because you know, you can't trust this kind of person who made such a bold claim on camera, on tape, that would take anybody's life. Anybody who tried to film him was going to take the person's life. That for me is enough reason to actually, you know, take him in and question him. If he is found wanting, then whatever happens to him is, I mean, it was caused by his own rash decisions made, you know, in the heat of the moment.
Right.
And this was on the back of the new IG's instruction that for any reason you can record or film police officers, especially when you are being searched, so that in fact you can search them before they search you, so that you know, evidences will not be planted on you, and you can also film them, and just to be sure that things are done the right way. Unfortunately, it has been taken out of hand. Some people have turned it to content, trying to record police officers, you know, even when they are vulnerable. For me, I think that is on two ways. It's really a good one that they are to be filmed, but on the other hand, people will always, you know, take advantage of unnecessary situations, and that's the situation right now.
Exactly, and I think he has been arrested by the Anambra command. So basically, I hope he's been able to learn his lesson. Let's take a few comments before we start BYE, you know, on the show this morning. And then Benedict Ibok is saying, God, they bring them out. Small. I'm not sure.
Well, Smurf says it should be investigated properly. For him to say this, he has done it before, or he's currently doing it. He looks like a tout to me than a police officer. Well, everyone has, they have an opinion, but obviously people have complained about the outlook of some of our police officers. I saw a video recently with a police officer putting on an Ankara Dunlop slippers and then carrying a rifle. I mean, it doesn't bode well for, I mean, it doesn't really look good for police officers, because the most important, some of the important parts of this job is for you to look the part, and if you are not looking it, people will be scared of you. I mean, if a police officer is not looking different from someone that just came out of the bush to rob you, then you would want to be careful of how you deal with them. In fact, you might be hostile at the end of the day. So that, for me, is one area that the police IG should also look about. Look the part as a police officer. Look like a police officer, a true one at that. And it's a convenient point to leave that topic this morning. We say thank you for joining us on Daybreak Live Extra for this week. Do join us again next week for another set of interesting editions of Daybreak Live on Dominion Television, Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on this style. And as I always say, that security business is everybody's business. If you see something quite unusual in your communities, in your churches, please say something to the security agencies to nip this in the bud before it even happens. Samson Balogun is my name, and until next week, I say keep being good out there, keep being safe. Bye for now.
And my name is Owayemi Adelaku. Thank you for being a part of the show. See you on Monday. Bye for now.